In this video, I'm going to provide a way for you to get unstuck. I assume that since you're watching this video that you're feeling stuck in some way in your life. I'll also assume that what you don't need is a bunch of ideas to think more about how you're stuck in your life. And what you really want and need is a practical strategy for getting unstuck. So if you're ready, if you're prepared to follow some of the instructions that I'm going to give and get your life moving forward again, I invite you to stick with me for this entire video and get yourself unstuck today. Hello, my name is Michael Dewan-Herrick. I'm a psychotherapist and a life coach with over 40 years of experience. And it's my observation that everyone who comes seeking my services has found themselves stuck in some way in their life. So I have a lot of experience in helping people to get themselves unstuck. As promised, this video will be light on ideas and focus instead on practical strategy. But a couple ideas are going to be useful to frame our situation before we start. First is just a definition, from my point of view, of what it means to be stuck. And I'd say it's to be mired in habitual patterns of thought, mood, and behavior. And not only to be mired in these patterns, but to find them undesirable and to have the desire to move beyond them into something else. We might be stuck in one or another area of our lives. It could be our work life, it could be our love life, it could be our fitness, our finances. There's different areas that we can be stuck in. Or we can be stuck in several areas. Or we might just feel stuck generally in our lives. So with a basic understanding of what being stuck is, we could ask the question, how do we get stuck? Why are we stuck? The first point I'd like to make is that we may lack motivation. Two ways that we may lack motivation. We may not have a clear vision of where we want to go, what's desirable. We may not have an image of our future that compels us to move toward it. Either it's not clear or we don't have a strong enough feeling about it. That's what's desirable in our future. The other thing that we may not be motivated by is a recognition of what happens if we don't get unstuck. What happens if we carry on with our habits of thought, mood, and behavior that we have right now. We haven't thought down the line to another year or 2 or 5 and what the results of that are and how undesirable that would be. Whether it's our finances or our health or our love life or our work, we haven't really made a clear image of the consequences of not getting unstuck. Two other reasons why we may get stuck and remain stuck is that it could be familiar and comfortable to be that way. These habits, even though they seem to be dragging us down, we're attached to the comfort that they bring. We're not willing to go beyond our comfort zone. Another reason we can stay stuck is that the magnitude of the things that we imagine we have to do to get unstuck is overwhelming. It's too much. We don't even know how to get started because there's just so much that we think needs to change. Okay, now that we have a working definition for what being stuck means and some idea of how we stay stuck, I want to move into a practical solution, a bespoke plan for you. What I want to be clear about, though, is that if you're not willing to do anything different, you have to be willing to actually do something for this to work. So if you don't feel that you're ready to do anything, then you can click out at this point. If you're ready to do something and you're serious about getting unstuck, stick with me. This bespoke plan will be very doable. It's designed to be doable, but you have to be committed to actually doing it. That's the condition. So we're going to start with a guided visualization. And I'd ask you to picture in your mind, reflect on where you're stuck in your life. Is it in your health and your fitness? Is it in your relationship? Is it in your work? Is it in your finances? What part of your life feels stuck? I just want you to recognize that. Think about that for a minute. Pick something particular. Not just I'm overall I'm feeling stuck. Pick something in particular that you're stuck with and define it. Narrow it down. Okay, now that you have something in mind, I want you to imagine the next year, 2, up to 5 years, what the consequence will be if nothing changes, if you stay stuck in the way you're stuck in this particular part of your life. What will your life look like? What will happen? What's the consequence? And see if you can have a feeling about that. Is everything going to be fine? Will you be fine? If it's going to be fine, maybe you didn't pick the right thing. Maybe you're not particularly stuck. It may be that you have habits, but they're not undesirable to you. So picture the future and let yourself be scared by that. Let yourself freak out a little bit about what could happen if things don't change, if you don't change anything. Really hold that in mind. Hold it in mind, hold it in heart, hold it in belly. So this is a visceral sense of where your future goes if you stay stuck in this way. Okay, now I want you to visualize a different future. Now I want you to visualize the future that you prefer, the desirable future, the future that you could have if you get unstuck. Again, whether it's in your finances, in your love life, or your fitness, or where you live. Let yourself picture that. How desirable that would be. How gratifying that would be. How you could celebrate it if it actually came true. Let yourself feel good about that. Let yourself feel excited about that, even if a little bit. So it's the image of what you want, but it's also the feeling that you have about that and how it's something worthwhile to strive after. If you need to pause the video and take some time to reflect more on these 2 images of your future, then you can go ahead and do that. Or you could follow through with the video and then go back and do that a little bit more to just really make it vivid and palpable to yourself, the undesirable future and the desirable future. But assuming that you've done that sufficiently, the next step is to figure out what you're going to do. What step can you take? What action can you engage in? The 2 really important aspects of this thing that you're going to do are, 1, that it's small, that it's doable, that it's not something that's going to be overwhelming or you'll have excuses. So that it's small. And it doesn't matter how small. The second thing is that no matter what, you're going to do it. That there are no excuses, there's no delaying, there's a real commitment to do the thing that you've identified. So it'll be important what you choose. The other thing, as I've said, is that it should be specific. Instead of telling yourself that you're going to be more assertive or kinder or healthier, you're going to decide that you're going to do something like ask for something every day. Ask somebody for something every day. Or you're going to provide some service to your loved one every day. Or you're going to take a vigorous walk 3 times a week. So it's going to be small, it's going to be specific and concrete and not abstract. So you're going to have to know whether you actually are doing it or not. And then also to make it something you do on a regular basis. It could be daily, it could be multiple times a week, but it's repeating. It's a habit, a new habit that you're going to introduce. And again, it doesn't matter how small. Even if it's something that takes you 1 minute a day, that's okay. The point is that it's something concrete and that you're absolutely committed to doing it as you've intended. Okay, so once you've identified this thing you're going to do, which is small and concrete and doable, move it from a thought to a real intention Instead of thinking, yes, that would be nice if I did that, that's a good idea, move it from here to here and affirm in your intentions, yes, I am going to do that thing. And that means that you're going to do it even if you're not in the mood, even if you're distracted, even if you might think you have reasons to not do it, you're going to do it. I call this deciding to do it. And then do it. Now, to be clear, doing this one thing is not going to transform your life, right? You know that. I know that. It's not about transforming your life immediately. What it's about is getting unstuck. It's about breaking the paralysis and being able to move again. Doing this one thing repeatedly, this new thing that you wouldn't have done if you hadn't thought it through, sets in motion a process where you affirm to yourself that you can actually do something, and you get to feel a wholesome sense of pride at having accomplished it. No matter how small, it's something. You're no longer completely stuck. A metaphor that works for me, the way I've thought about my own stuckness in my life, is comparing it to sleep paralysis. I don't know if you've ever had sleep paralysis. I have on a few occasions in my life. And that's where you sort of wake up, you're aware of the room, you're not sleeping or dreaming anymore, but you can't move. You can't move anything. You can't talk. And you're laying there trying to wake up. And when I've found myself in that situation, what I've done is try to move either my little finger or a toe, just one little part of me. If I can just concentrate my energy on moving that one little part. And when I'm able to do it, my finger just goes, then it breaks the spell. Then I wake up. Then I have access to all of my movement. Now, I'm not stuck. I'm not paralyzed anymore. I still have to get out of bed. I still have to go do things. It hasn't fixed my whole life. But at least I'm not paralyzed anymore. And that's the point of this. It's not an instant fix. But it is a way to get out of that state of stuckness and paralysis. So now you know what to do. I didn't tell you what to do. You came up with it yourself based on your own life and your own sense of what you can do and what's small enough to not be overwhelming, but big enough to be something. And you know it. What I hear a lot is, I just don't know what to do. I don't know how to do such and such. I don't know how to get unstuck. This is how you get unstuck. So I would encourage you not to tell yourself you don't know how. Recognize that you may be attached to the comfort and familiarity of being stuck. Recognize that you may not have amplified your motivation sufficiently. But you know how. This is what I propose you do in order to get unstuck. Hopefully what you've come up with isn't something that seems impossible or excruciating. There may be some discomfort involved, but it's doable. In addition to some small thing that you could do, that you could initiate and do regularly, you could also think of something that you're not going to do. One of your habits that you know is going to have long-term negative consequences. I'm not saying that if you're addicted to drugs or alcohol or something else, that you haul off and say, I'm going to quit that tomorrow. What I am saying is that you limit it, that you find a way to cut it back somewhat. If you eat 5 chocolate bars a day, I hope you don't, but if you happen to, eat 4. Start at 4, then go to 3. So along with the things that you actively do, you can think of the things that you'll stop doing. An additional thing to say about motivation, we can talk about the future in terms of the negative consequences down the line, or the beautiful vision that we have of how our lives will be satisfying and happy. We can really feel what it's like to be stuck. What's the quality of our life right now? What is it like? Let yourself feel that stuckness. Let yourself be repulsed by it, if that's what you feel. Remember, it's not just that there's habits of thought, mood, and behavior, but it's that they're undesirable. So let yourself feel the discomfort of your stuckness, and let that motivate you to take some small but concrete, real, committed action to do something different and get started and break the spell of stuckness and get yourself moving again. Okay, that's it. Thanks for sticking with me to the end. I hope you will, and I encourage you to take action on what I've said, and encourage you to start it today, or if you're watching this late at night, start it tomorrow. If you like this video, give it a like, subscribe, leave me a comment, share it with a friend, and until next time, I wish you good luck with getting unstuck, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye.